I wish we had fee appraisers and we had enough funds to compensate for this, to have somebody go out to every individual property and appraise it. We don't. We drive by the road. We drive by the road, we take pictures of the outside of the property. Give me just 1 second. We drive by the road, we take pictures of the outside of the property, and we make general assumptions based off of, this is a brick house, this is a wood frame house, this is a metal house, and then we look at sales. What are sales doing on those individuals, and how can we make an adjustment on those individual classes and those size brackets of land, and how do we apply this across the board? Because we just don't have the capacity to handle every single individual account every year. So we are required by the state to appraise a property once every 3 years, but that may be us driving by and taking a look at the account and going, okay, we need to make an adjustment. Now, when we have properties that are protested, that protested value lasts for that year, okay? So the next year, protest that property again. If you feel like it's wrong, if we need to go in.
That's a full-time job.
Who's gonna compensate us for our lost wages? I lost $7,000 last year arguing over something.
And you hold meetings in the middle of the day when you know most people work and can't even be here. Even this turnout surprises me, but you do this on purpose.
So, go ahead.
I would like to know, I got 2.5 acres in a mobile home that was bought in 1999. I would like to know why my property taxes is appraised the same as somebody that's got a $250,000 house. Why is that a thing?
So,
Why is that possible?
A mobile home only lasts 50 years.
Why
Like
is it possible
1990,
for my property to be evaluated the same as a $250,000 home? That makes absolutely no sense to me, none
so
whatsoever.
give us the opportunity to protest your property. Give
I've
us the
already
opportunity to
protested my
take a look at
taxes.
it. Okay.
And you know what it did for me? Nothing.
Last year or this
Not
year?
last year, because mysteriously last year my taxes went down. The year before last they got raised, and I sat right here in this room and protested it. You lowered the value of my property, but you did not lower my taxes. So there's some kind of BS going on around here, because you cannot appraise my 2.5 acres with a trailer house the same as a $250,000 home. That makes no sense to any person that has a brain in their head. None whatsoever.
I understand. I have to take a look at your.
I don't think you
individual-
do understand. I don't think you
said you came out
do.
once every 3 years. How come my taxes have doubled every year for the last 3 years?
I'll have to look at your individual account.
You did a home improvement, you mowed the yard.
We mowed the yard.
I made no home improvements my appraisal went up 50%. I made no home improvements.
Why is the
And I lived in
property,
the
you say the property is worth just an acre of land, $20,000 to $21,000?
Give me attention, please.
Why is that so high? Because we can't get that amount of money
Each
for
one of
an
you
acre
would
of
like to
land.
speak. Do it one at a time, so everybody can hear what you have to say. We're all interested in what you have to say, but we can't hear everybody at the same time.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
last year y'all hit me with a $94,000 improvement for a hay barn I built, 100 by 40 hay barn.
And you protested it and
I
fixed
did
it, right?
protest it. I came in here with the invoice from a local contractor and my canceled check and showed them that I paid $42,000 for it.
Uh-huh.
Get home, next day I get a reply from my protest. They lowered it to $52,000. I called her back. I said, "What happened to the 42 that I proved that I paid and what it built cost?" She said, "That's what the square footage came to." She had on her computer screen picture of you could count the hay in the barn. She knew the square footage, so why did you try to hit me? If square footage came out to 52,000, why did you try to hit me with 94? Where'd you come up with that? That's what we're all here for.
Sure. Like I said, it's an imperfect system. This is the system that we have.
It's a ridiculous system.
I have a question.
Get a good, better
You
system.
claim you freeze the taxes when you turn 65, right?
Yes, if you, on your homestead,
Right. So
with the exception of a couple of,
why
there's
does
two
our
entities that
house
don't
go
freeze it.
up $200,000, but yet it stays at that frozen tax? How is the elderly person supposed to pay that? when
can't.
you're on social security and
can't.
you give 8 months worth of your life earnings and social security to pay for these taxes.
So an over 65 does not lock in the value. What it locks in,
Exactly.
what it locks in is the amount that you pay.
Yeah.
So
But why
The
does
state-
your land value go up 153% in 3 years?
it can, our
Y'all
land
wrote that on my
values,
tax paper.
our land values have truly gone up in the last few years, and the majority of that is being driven by the subdivisions that are coming in.
But we worked our whole life to have something.
Y'all are taking
and now
advantage
y'all
of
are
it.
forcing us to sell just to pay for the taxes every year.
So again, we have to set the market
What the
value.
market's doing, I understand that, but you're looking at land being sold and being bought by people coming from places where they buy land and it's stupid high. You people know that land around here ain't worth what these dumbasses from California,
And y'all give
Colorado,
them
and everywhere else
incentives
is
to
giving.
open up new businesses. Where's our
No,
incentives?
businesses are for sure not incentivized because small businesses are being taxed out of their
I'm
buildings.
telling you.
I have a question. So if you are basing these tax increases off of these communities being built, why are the farmers and ranchers in here being punished by people that are contractors and developers? Because I work for, these hands do not push paper for a living.
No.
And I don't know many of
others
these.
don't neither.
And all I'm saying is, I've got an agricultural tax break. I've got the farm tax break. I do everything I can to get my taxes down. I had a plane, y'all's plane, fly over my
We don't
property.
have a plane.
Somebody's got a plane because I got a
Them
call the very
drones.
next day after I saw this plane loitering over my farm. Y'all coming out? I said, all right, come on out. Well, when two of y'all showed up, the driver, I asked him, I said, it was a black girl and a white girl. I don't know. Anyway, I asked him, I said, hey, was that y'all's plane that was over my farm yesterday? The driver said yes, and the passenger said no. I swear to God. And I said, which is it?
We don't own a plane. We don't own a plane. We do pay for aerial flyovers about once a year.
Right. But what I'm saying is, when we ranchers out here, when we are Van Zandt County residents, we're not moving in from abroad. We're here. We vote for you guys. We know the families. We know the churches. We know the people that live around here. We're most of the time the people that have booths in Canton. We are the economy, and you are killing it.
So what we have to look at is what properties are selling for on the open market. I can't differentiate
But you're
from
wrong.
this person is coming in.
Hang on, guys, real quick. You go to Canton. This is no joke. You go to Canton. You buy 2 corny dogs and a lemonade. $17. Because of the taxes that the people that have the booth have to pay.
Well, I am from California, thinking of buying here, but listening to all you guys, I may just stay home. They are abusing you. That is
They are.
horrible.
They're raping us.
And I'm 81 years old, still farming.
Yes.
I have a
Try to
question.
go buy fertilizer when it was so high.
Oh
the
gosh,
last
it's
couple of
still
years.
so high.
My question is, if it is a blanket, you call it a blanket. Why is yours one thing and mine something else?
Exactly.
We're
It
all
should
under
be
the
all the
same
same.
blanket. Why are we not the same?
So, no, it's the same blanket. It's the same blanket. Okay, what happened last year on my property is I bought an additional 5 acres beside me, okay? I'm like y'all, I don't want a big subdivision right beside me. So when a developer purchased that property, they reached out to me and said, hey, would you like carved out 5 acres along your fence line? I said, absolutely. I paid over market for that because I want to secure that 5 acres beside my house, okay? So what I did is I took a 10-acre tract and it went to a 15-acre tract, okay? Economies of scale. So think of this. Same thing as if you go to the grocery store and you buy a 4-pack of toilet paper. You're gonna pay so much per roll of that toilet paper. If you go to Costco or Sam's Club and you buy a huge pack of toilet paper, are you gonna pay less per roll? Yeah, so that's economies of scale. So same thing, that a 1-acre tract is gonna be priced more than a 5-acre tract or a 10-acre tract or a 100-acre tract. You're not gonna pay the same per acre.
So what's
We're not
market
talking
value
about
on an
what you
acre?
paid for, we're talking about taxes.
What's
But
market value?
we have to set off of market value. We can't set based off of what people's taxes
So
are.
how did you set your market value?
You have two tracts. One's 5 acres and one's nine acres.
I have 3 tracts.
Correct, and you have a 1 acre with your home.
I have
Yes.
1 acre with a
Uh-huh.
house. It is all on the same piece. It's all contiguous, okay? I have 1 acre with a house. I have 9 acres that was originally part of that original 10. And then I have the 5 acres I just recently purchased. Now, if you look at that 5 acre tract, last year it was a 13 acre tract. I'm sorry, 12 acre tract. It was a split. My account retained the original information from that tract. So it does look like it went down in value, but it was valuing 13 acres versus now 5.
And what
So
is
there's
that,
a
what is
difference.
the 5 acres valued at now?
The 5 acres is gonna be at, 1 second, I'll pull it up.
So since Van Zandt is supposedly debt-free, where does the rest of the money go?
So we're not part of the county. We're a political subdivision of the county that is only set up to value properties. Back in the day, back in the 60s, 70s, there used to be the school that would assess a value, and then each entity itself would have their own appraisers. In 1979, the PIVOTO bill was created, okay? And that established the appraisal districts. So for 1980 going forward, it established the appraisal districts to be a one central hub so that property owners could protest a value in one spot and it would affect all of the taxing entities.
So it's not an elected position?
No.
So how?
No, it's appointed by the elected officials, city council, school board, and the commissioners. They get to appoint these people. So yes, pay attention to who you vote for those other councils.
So their taxes have gone down too.
So what's market value?
So market value depends on the size. Let me pull that
Okay.
up.
Where do you get that information from? Where are you pulling this so-called
From-
market value?
From land sales and then from
Where?
building
On
sales.
what system, what side? Are you talking to real estate
Can you show
agents? Are
me-
you getting it out of their system?
Sometimes we
Actual
get it from
sales?
property
Where
owners,
you getting
sometimes
it?
we get it through MLS.
Can you show me a piece that's sold for 53,000 an acre? Because that's what you appraised mine in.
Sure. For 6 acres. So here's all of our land sales. Hundreds and hundreds of land sales.
But it's people coming from out of
But nobody's
state
buying
that
it.
wants to buy it up. Out of the country. and
Sure.
they're
Out of the
buying it up.
town.
Sure, but we have to look at all sales.
Ma'am, I had somebody that, from California that bought a, 10-acre tract adjoining me a year ago. They've already got it up for sale. I checked with them, I said, what's the deal? Taxes. They can't afford the taxes.
They just do the market if we're going to
So to
done.
be clear, the system that you're in, pulling information from right now, you're looking in the MLS?
No, I'm not looking in
Where are
MLS,
you
I'm
at?
looking on my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Where does
So I
that
pull
come from?
all
That's
of
the
that,
point.
we data dump that from information we get across the county.
Right.
Unfortunately, sales are confidential.
No, they're not. They're not. They're public information. You can get that. You just have to talk to a realtor or a broker. 9 acres, your 9 acres is valued at $126,000 and you have an ag exemption on that. What is your 9 acres ag exempt for?
So I have 15 acres total, 14 of those
Are they
acres.
contiguous? They touch-
Absolutely, absolutely. The 14 acres is under wildlife.
I thought you had to have 21 acres to be able to, do ag.
No.
No, ma'am.
No, it all depends on what you're doing. It's minimum of 5, depending on what you're doing. But 12 and a half for wildlife is the minimum.
Well, they told us 21.
Reschedule this meeting, because there's probably about 300 people out here that can't hear a word y'all saying. And set it at a time where working class people who work every day can make it and don't do these closed door meetings.
And a
And get
place
here
where
someplace.
everybody can come in and hear y'all.
And you got places to do it, y'all just don't want to do it.
We've never had a turnout like this before.
Because you, taxes haven't going up like this. I mean,
Sure.
think about what you're saying.
Sure.
I mean, people are frustrated.
Oh, how
Y'all
do you
wouldn't
get
let me
wildlife?
have 110 acres in ag. Y'all said along the creek where all the trees were, I could not have ag.
You denied ag for me too and I have 12 acres.
We'll have to look. I'll just have to look at the individual
They-
accounts.
But why put 85 acres in ag and then where the cows can go get water and there's nothing but trees?
I'll have to look at your account. I'll have to look at your account.
How do you get wildlife?
Wildlife, you just have to apply for it. In fact, our appraisal director, John right back here, football there, that's Don Coulter, he can walk you through all the details on wildlife.
Not the same as that.
Some of this is directed to the board members. I understand how y'all are separate from the commissioners or the city council people, or whoever appointed y'all. But you're appointed, you're not elected. How much of a dog y'all got in this hunt, I don't know. I'm not gonna ask you personally, okay? Here's my issue. You say you get information from confidential sources, but you won't release it to the public, but you'll use it against us. You said you didn't get a search warrant for it, you didn't get a court order for it. How'd you get it?
So.
And I won't make a formal Freedom of Information Act request for it.
Sure, sure.
But would you please let us know why you're not sharing it with us now?
So we can share it with you without the specific ownership information.
You can delete that, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, we're glad to do that for you.
But
If
don't
you-
say
if you
it's
need-
confidential.
Well, it's confidential, technically it's confidential, but,
It's all public record. You can get anyone's information online.
Now, you gentlemen, is this the entirety of the board? 5 members?
We're the board of directors.
Yes, sir. Were y'all all appointed by the commissioners and the county judge, or who?
School district.
All from the school district?
City.
The city, all right. Are y'all paid to be here?
Not
Do y'all
quite,
get an
not hardly.
attendance fee of any kind?
Not hardly, no, sir.
What's not hardly mean, sir?
Don't get anything. No.
Yes.
Don't give our
No,
time. We
didn't
just
say
give our
no.
time.
So is every school district represented? Wells Point, Edgewood,
Whole county,
Kansas?
whole county is represented.
All right, now here's my next question. And I know a lot of people complain about the roads are terrible. The county likes putting up big signs at the courthouse, says we're debt free. They rebuild the county jail about every other year. The sheriff's office operates at about half or 2/3 staffing, makes us all feel good and safe. Every time pay raises come up at the county commissioner's court, they generally just turn everybody down and get everybody real unhappy, and they wonder why they can't keep folks. But we're debt free. They got more police vehicles at the sheriff's office than they have people to put in them.
Let me say, we don't have any control
I
over those
understand
people.
that. That's what I'm saying. Y'all aren't to blame for that.
We don't have any.
But this money
You're
pays
part
for
of the
that, so you
scheme.
do have, you directly affect that, because the money you get from the taxes are what pay our police departments, our sheriffs,
That's the
all of
scheme.
that.
The politicians,
They're
unfortunately, that we somehow or another messed up and elected, set the tax rates, or the school district board members that we accidentally elected.
Our
And they
kids are
pass it
being
on.
failed.
We didn't
And
say
they like to brag, well, our sales tax rate, or our property tax rate came down a fraction of a percent, some little minutia. But the valuations go through the roof. And that's the scheme.
We're failing our
And-
kids miserably, because how is that school bond ever gonna pass in this county with the way these appraisals are going up? Everybody is scared they're gonna lose their home. My mortgage went up it will go up $600 a month, and I've worked my tail end off to pay it off, because I want the American dream and not have a mortgage.
Well, as long as taxation is like this, the American dream is dead, because we'll never officially own our homes. They'll own it, because the taxes, they'll own it.
Which one of y'all wanna buy mine? My whole place.
Absolutely, mine's
What's
for
your
sale
value
too.
for? I'll move out real quick.
For 10% less than y'all's market value. Mine's for sale right now.
I'm a realtor, can I have your name?
Absolutely, Ryan Key.
I tell you what, between the taxes that I pay and the insurance that I pay, and I own my home, I have a mortgage.
Exactly.
Till you die.
You'll never own your home, as long as you're having to pay these exorbitant taxes.
And now they've raised the
they'll take
value
it
of
from
my
you
home
eventually.
50% this year. 50%. And guess where I live, folks? I live in Rolling Oaks, the nastiest place on this earth, in this county. And my property value went up 50%.
300%
that-
over here.
50%?
That's that big market,
Same place.
layover. That's that blanket mass.
And I've made no improvements.
There's a lady,
I cut my grass.
there's a lady back there, her
Who appoints
property
the
went up
appeal
800 something
review
percent.
County judge.
The county judge? Because they're about as unethical as it gets. Last year, I came in here, in this room right here, to appeal, explain to them my foundation issues, and one of them sat right where Mr. Shackelford's sitting, and said, "Why don't you cover it up and hide it and sell it?"
Oh, that is so.
So I got upset and I left, and they denied me, of course.
Now you filed an arbitration,
I did.
and we worked with it.
And you were the only one to listen. You were the only one to come out.
And it's
But
that
it shouldn't
hard
have had to
protect
go
the
that
American
far.
dream?
You shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. My apologies.
Well,
for that.
even if you do sell, you still gotta pay the taxes on it.
I'm a broker and I don't want to sell your house if you want to stay there. I want you to stay there and enjoy your home. I want to live in my home forever.
Hell, I
I'm
don't.
6
I wanna go
generations
rent.
here and I have the 7th generation right here.
I want to pass it on to the grandkids.
Yeah.
And our farms are
And if
developers
you don't
that
get
buy
the right
that.
deed, they're going to end up paying your frozen taxes.
That's right. Your
That's
frozen
right.
taxes will be paid when you sell.
By your
Your-
estate
by
or
your
grandkids.
estate.
So,
So
they're
that
gonna have to
frees
sell the
garbage.
house just to pay the taxes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bottom line here, how do we fix it?
There you go.
Get rid of a bunch of folks.
Go vote.
This
So-
legislature.
Number one, file a protest. Okay, if you feel like your property is misvalued, file a protest. Give us
They'll
the
just lower it a
opportunity.
little bit, they won't.
But give us the opportunity.
I've
So
done it
that's,
myself before.
so that's the short stick. The long stick is to change laws. And the only way we do that is talking with our legislature. So I actually have a stack. I only have 25. I didn't realize there were going to be so many people here today. But I have a list of all of our state representatives over there. Those are the people that write the laws, that talk about everything. Right now, they are hard at work fighting
Just
through
screw us forward.
legislation.
Well, why don't you go back to common law instead of corporate law? That's what we're all in right now.
So there's a lot of tax reform that's on the dockets now that legislature is talking about. They're talking about changing the homestead exemption. Now that is gonna be for your schools, okay, and that is the biggest amount of tax that we pay. They're gonna change it from $40,000 up to either $70,000 or $100,000. They're talking about changing the cap from 10%, which is you cannot. So they're looking at 5. They're looking at 3.5%.
That who?
So I know that's in the process right now. Now where they're gonna land, I don't know.
So is that gonna keep the value of your property from
That
going
limits
up?
the
So,
market value. That
no,
limits
it doesn't
the-
limit
I'm
market
sorry,
value.
you're right.
It doesn't limit market value. It limits the taxable value.
But if y'all gonna base
But that's
your
every
property,
year.
if I sell my house tomorrow for $1 million, you live next door to me, your place is worth a lot more money, even though it's, in reality,
Could
it's
be.
not.
Not on one individual sale, but on
But it does
multiple.
work that way.
It does.
That's how it works. You guys don't want to admit that. That's exactly
It
how
does.
it works. The people who pay stupid amounts for land,
It does
it
drive the
screws
value.
the whole neighborhoods and the whole county, the whole cities. But the thing about it is, where I live, I got a nice little house. It ain't nothing special, but it's mine.
Sure.
But I got mobile home. Nothing against a mobile home. I've lived in one. But it ain't worth what my house is worth. And they don't upkeep like I upkeep. They don't keep their places clean. They don't do that. Base it on the individual piece of property. Don't base it on, well, we're going to throw a blanket over it because all these dumbasses come up here and give $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 an acre for land.
That is very
Out where I
general,
live,
but yes.
some idiot gives $60,000 for 1 acre. Now don't tell me that they didn't see that fella coming.
So I will say, when we do our mass analysis and we take a look at all of the sales that have come in, we do throw out the outliers, the ones that are way over the top, the ones that are way
Y'all
under.
been by my house, I watch you. Y'all been by my house over 4 times since I built it.
Okay.
And nothing has changed, and it went up again.
So market values have increased.
That shouldn't matter. It should
I
be
know.
based on that piece of property, ma'am. And I don't mean to be rude, but look at individual places.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it because the whole crowd done it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're at where we're at with our children in schools and all. The sheep are following.
Mm-hmm.
Pull your head out of your rear end.
So do this for me. If you have a concern about your property value,
That's right.
you have a concern on your property value, by all means, file that protest. File that
How do
protest.
we,
Give us the opportunity to talk about it.
what do we need to to file a protest? Some of us don't just go around knowing this thing.
Sure. Okay, so to file the protest, I don't care if you put it on a cocktail napkin, I don't care if you put it on the form, the notice of protest form. It does not matter. I just need something in writing to use for documentation. Okay? To file a notice of protest, you can send an email to us and say, I don't like my property values.
It says for evidence. What evidence do I have to prove that my property isn't worth what you decide it's worth?
Pictures of any blemish you got, honey.
No, it don't work.
Still don't work.
That don't work.
Every house has got blemish.
Tell me, when I knew you had problems, you should never bought that house, and they didn't change it a bit and left it what it was. And I had a board of view. I appeal them every year, but I mean, that's what kind of answers we get from people.
What am I taking a picture of?
Oh, you just have an empty lot?
I took a picture of a house that's nearly falling down and sent it, but it didn't change the value.
So you said earlier when we handed you that it was as of January, right?
So we do appraise as of January.
As of January, it was down 12.1%.
Is that the median household?
That's your median price
So-
for Van Zandt County. That's your housing report
Just Van
from
Zandt County.
So our land is
Real
what is
estate.
really driving the majority of the increase.
No.
It's not necessarily the improvements, they still did have some increase.
This would
That's all
include
property.
this would
That's
include
land, that's
land. This would be
everything.
because they don't divide it up in Metro Tech. So this is your MLS real estate listing stuff. This shows our county is recessed, not it hasn't went up in our county. I mean, that would be definitely a non-biased party that's
I
doing
guess
that.
the question is, who determines the overlays that get, how is that determined?
You mean as far as market area?
Yeah, like how are y'all doing the blanket? What determines the overlay?
So we do break it up by neighborhood. Okay, so we'll take what's in town, what's out of town. So city areas, out inside city limits, and what's rural. And then you further split that by school district.
Okay, and then how do you determine, okay, that whole blanket area needs to be risen 22%?
We look at the sales that are in that individual area, the ones that we have.
And when it's an ag area, that's thousands of acres that have not been built on, haven't changed hands, been in the same family for
We don't take that into
decades.
consideration because we don't have a sales
We
price.
don't
We
get,
have to go off the sales
but it still
price.
goes up.
Because everything else has.
But we plan on living in it for the rest of our lives,
No.
and here just cause somebody sells a place beside you for $1 million, they keep raising ours, and we ain't ever plan on selling it.
So we can't.
That should be fixed.
We can't just adjust properties that sell. We have to be fair and equal across the board.
Is there a 10% cap on homestead right now? You can't be higher than 10%, correct?
Per year, but they can raise it 100% and just do it year by year, like it's.
I got you. Let me get her explanation.
It doesn't count, it does not cap the market value. Market value will still fluctuate. What it caps is the taxable value, the assessed value. So it's the value before your exemptions are put in place.
Real quick, I'll put in what I have. 2 acres. Went from $17,000 valuation in 2022. This year, they're $120,000. Why do I have that much increase in 2 acres of
I'll
land?
have to look at your individual account.
Hey, it's on the same everybody around me. That's what we gotta look at.
So if you have to look at every account, so why would you not just assess them individually? Because that's the answer that you're giving us. I mean, I'm just asking. Every answer is you have to look at it individually, but yet you just said you can't do them
It was
individually.
explained from somebody in your office, or somebody else that came up to protest, and she was very open about the fact that you guys just wildly throw numbers on things, and if we don't come out and protest, you're just good to go with it. That is exactly what she said to him.
I would love to know who that was.
That is how it goes.
It's not.
So who do you answer to?
I answer to the
So
board.
I have two questions. My first question is, we're told when we do protest that, you have to keep your comps within the school district because that's who gets the most of the money, correct? There's not, every school is not represented here in this, this board.
I have to pay
First,
after
but my
that.
second thing is when we do all protests, and you're gonna have a lot more than what's in this room, do you have enough appraisers? Because the way I understand it is you've either fired or they've left because they don't like you.
They don't like the way you do business.
Neither do we.
Neither did your
I didn't
last
say it.
employer.
I'm not gonna say that.
My last employer? I didn't work at Kaufman County. I've never worked at Kaufman. No.
Do you have enough appraisers?
Yes, I have plenty.
So we
We are
can
full.
appraise every property as it is
Your
and not the
website shows
blanket.
that.
So I don't have enough appraisers to appraise every single individual property.
Then
We
how does
have
it
enough
make it right?
appraisers to compensate
Then
for,
you can't just
through
put
through
random
protest.
numbers on people's property.
So we
just
don't.
without
It's all
looking at
based
them.
on-
How
That's
can you
what
do
you've
that?
done. That's what you've done.
That's why mine went from 20,000 to
Based off
120,000
statistics,
in
we
1
just
year.
showed you 12.1% decrease. But we got properties that you increased 50%. I've got one that quadrupled. And I can't find anything as to justify. I got almost the most expensive land on Highway 80 now.
I'd love to sell my house for 400,000, what you guys told me. I paid
53,000 an acre, and next door neighbors
It's
is
not
like
it's
17.
comical. It's really sad. Eating into our pockets. So very sad.
Really, your old folks have worked all their lives to sell property or keep their property for their grandchildren.
They don't care.
And this is,
They don't care.
this is gonna not, you're not gonna have any farmers, no ranchers on the property.
All you board members make a change, you're saying what people have to be appraisers.
It's all on our website.
Okay, if it's on your website, are they all certified?
They're all in the process.
Okay, so they're not.
We got
They're all
people not
licensed.
certified.
They're all licensed.
What's the difference between the certified and licensed?
It takes about 5 years to get to the full licensing process, to be fully certified.
I protested last year, and the 3 places that were sent to me because I requested, okay, one of them was, I would say, fairly close to where I am, but one of them was in the Wills Point area, and one of them was in like the Grand Saline area.
In Fruitville?
No, I live in the Jackson area between here and Maybank. And so I didn't understand that. Also, like, my biggest concern, I'm old. I'm not gonna live unless I live to be 100, so hopefully I can, keep my place, even though I'm on a fixed income, hopefully, and my place is paid for, so hopefully I'm not gonna get taxed out of it, but I worry about my kids and my grandkids.
That's where
How in the world are they gonna, a lot of them, to just get a home, they've got their taxes and insurance tied into their payment, and when something like this happens, their payment goes up $300 or $400 a month. They can't do that. Or more.
My grandkids
Yeah.
are
We're not
gonna
gonna
inherit land and
We came out
old
here,
houses.
we didn't expect this.
But they
We're
won't get
retired.
to pay it
I'm
by
gonna
the
sell.
time one of
Anybody
them's
wants
9
it?
years old.
Their price.
I'll sell all mine where they got a distance for every one of them.
Well, it's listed, I'll sell it.
I'll sell mine for 10% less.
Because these are individuals, and if you have everybody files a protest, there's not enough people to handle the protest, because everybody in here is going to file a protest, plus all those that are not here.
And mine is
So
more
that
than
is
one
something-
piece of property.
So that is something you need to take into consideration.
But y'all need to redo this so these people that ain't able to be in here can have a say too, because y'all done this unjust.
It's not.
Y'all didn't do your county justice by doing the way you done.
You know what,
A secret meeting.
Well, it's not a secret meeting.
No, it's not. But y'all can
We
find
do
a
that.
place big enough to do this where those people that's unheard back out in the parking lot and everywhere can come in here and have. tell you
There's a
how they
lady
do it.
from Martinsville that had texted her that. It was a better place.
And it shouldn't be necessary to protest your taxes every year. I know, we do, and it shouldn't be necessary.
This is not an us versus y'all. That is one thing that I wish that everybody could just understand. You people live and you work here, and we live and we work here. We're in a community together. It's all of our blood, sweat, and tears poured into this ground. Everybody that's here, that's paying a mortgage, that's worried about these taxes. So collectively, help us help y'all. We are your neighbors. Y'all are our neighbors. We, as a people, everybody in this room, everybody in the hallway, it's not us versus them and them versus us. Y'all help us and we'll help you, and we need to stand together and fix this crap.
Yeah. If
We
y'all
shouldn't
can't
be in
fix
here
it,
every
let us
year
know
trying to
who
figure
we
out how
need
to
to
keep everybody from
fix
taking
it.
our property.
If
We need to work together. It is not, we shouldn't be attacking one another. We need to figure out how to fix the system.
Yes.
Totally unrelated, but somebody ran that had that on their platform to abolish this tax crap. And we, in the preliminaries, let him get away. But point being, We need to get involved, and we need to be helping each other. This affects all of us. Everybody at this table and everybody in this room. We're not enemies. We're neighbors.
Right.
Y'all,
The
let's
only
figure this
reason
out.
that y'all don't
This
care
ain't the
is
answer.
because it's not affecting you, apparently.
That's true.
So you
the
show
sad
me
part is-
why. You show me why it's not affecting you.
It is affecting.
It's not.
Your increase is only 13%, and you can still
No.
protest it.
No, if you look at all three properties, it was a 54% increase.
No, ma'am, it was not. I have it right here.
We're looking at 200% on a lot of these properties, so you tell me how that's equal. It's not.
Again, let me remind you, use proper decorum. Everybody wants to speak. Try to speak at one at a time, so we can be heard.
And you're so vague about your answers. Where do you get these numbers from? Well, we just dump them. You're not telling us anything. You're not giving us concrete information about where these numbers come from. You're being deliberately vague.
In
Why?
truth, it does look like these numbers come out of thin air to the average person, and then they get brought to our attention. We look at it. We run hard numbers through the MLS, and most of us in this room that are realtors have been doing this a very long time. It takes us seconds to realize what they're being appraised at is highway robbery. It's disgusting. There's a better way, in this general map that gets thrown on people that causes them to have to take off work, dig through the, how do I do this? Oh, I only have 2 weeks since I got my letter. That's bull crap. This is not the way. There is a better way, and all I'm saying is we need to figure out what that is. But attacking each other, that's not it either, guys. So,
Well, I don't understand why the burden of proof falls on me.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Why
getting at.
does
So
that burden
this
come to
absurd
me?
number that gets laid across you, and the burden of proof falls to us to come
And it's
say
not
that's
that
not
easy.
what it is. This is how it really is, and we have to do the back and forth. I did it last year with you guys. Yes, we came to an agreement, but it took both me and my husband having to deal with it. It shouldn't be that way.
And the 10% is that's a smoke
And
and
some
mirrors,
of our
because when
caps
you
are
have to
missing.
fight at 50% and you come to an agreement at 20%, what happened to 10%?
And what about the people that don't know that they can appeal?
Right.
I mean, there's so many people in this county that don't have the education. They don't know that they can come up here. They don't know how, they can't get on computers.
So y'all help us get that out in the community. I've posted it.
we're
in
trying.
the-
We're trying.
We've posted it in the newspaper.
I found out about this by accident. I'm all over Facebook.
Well, yeah,
My
I
daughter
didn't,
wouldn't have called me this morning.
I mean, you get your letters yesterday
Because
and the
I don't
meetings
get on
today.
Facebook.
That's
My
not fair.
phone is just
So we didn't realize that this was gonna be a topic until this became a
Really?
topic. We do have meetings. I tell you what, I will do my best to communicate as much as I can. I will post it on Facebook going forward. I will post it on our website, which we always do. We always put it at the courthouse.
Run an ad next week in the paper or on the computer saying you're gonna redo this meeting, and everybody in the county can show up and have a moment on the mic. That's how you.
But don't do it
the next day. Because
Yeah, give them a week to get, and do it after 5 p.m.
This has been set for over, yeah.
I didn't know about it until about 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
It's by chance.
I know the lesson that
Got
my
that through a
daughter
text
called me.
message. I got through a
This
text
got the
message.
ball rolling, and then the meeting happened to be
Just the
this
conversation
week.
started, and that's where.
That's how it happened.
And we don't even have our copies yet.
There's plenty
The
of people
deadline
that
is
don't
the
have
May,
them, but
what,
they
15th?
they extend based
I'm
on,
missing one.
Based on the mailing date.
right.
This is to the board of directors. Y'all have heard from professional realtors here showing the MLS stats that the overall values, whatever map y'all want to imagine, for this county is down over 12% as of January 1. How can you, if y'all the ones who give her direction, sit there and let everything go up more than 10%, 50%, hundreds of percent? Everybody should be down 12 point whatever percent.
And the truth is, everybody in this room should be as up in arms as we are. Everybody in this room should be as up in arms. This is all of us, this is our livelihood.
I would really like an answer from each of y'all.
If they have any kind of.
How would you like us to prove our commercial properties and protect our renters in those situations? Not just landlord situations, but my business building that went up 300 and 400%.
So let's take a look at it. Let us take a look at it. That's what our influence, that's what our protest process is
We're
about.
not appraisers ourselves.
Why does it get that
We
way
only-
in the first place? That's what I want.
We only oversee what she does. And she is overseeing all the appraisers.
So it, there's,
Do y'all not have questions?
and then you have the state to deal with, that they have to deal with. And so, you know, real different. I understand the problem.
Who is your boss? Who do you answer
Same as the school board. If they wanna sue the prison district, they can sue y'all individually. Now, given that everything is down 12%, and I don't know how often it gives you the updates, and we're doing this, and it just doesn't add up at all.
And I guess it depends on where you're getting your stats.
Well, she seems to acknowledge the MLS is a, I guess, a fair place. The secret places, we're not so keen on. Are you?
Yeah.
Are you, sir?
What's that?
You keen on the secret? We can't tell you where we got this from? Cause I didn't come for a magic show, sir.
MLS is what houses are based on.
I don't understand. You said that you answer this board. He just said that you do not. So who do you answer to? Who's your boss?
The board hires and fires me, okay? I hire and fire everybody else. Hopefully not fire, but I hire everybody else. I manage all the employees. I am then restricted by the state and the laws and the,
But as
tax
far as
code.
these numbers that you're coming up with, who says that's okay? Just you?
The
It's just
comptroller
you?
comes in and double checks us. So this is a year that the comptroller is gonna come in and they're gonna grade our property values based off of what has sold.
Do they audit that every year?
Every other.
So Glenn Hager is who we need to talk to.
But how can it be so different from what these folks are saying and showing us? How can it be so?
It doesn't make the money. It's
One,
not a different play.
it's obvious, the apple and orange approach is what it needs to be, but everything's a fruit.
So this is a blanket.
We can't do that. It's
No,
not, it's
but
not fair. It's not right.
I got you.
Do you disagree?
I'm saying it's the best process we have in place.
It's a terrible process to settle for.
There's more than one way.
Are y'all getting your numbers from?
Give it away. They're not gonna take it.
They're not gonna
I've
take
got a
it.
question, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
My daughter texted this to me earlier. I live in Martinsville. I don't see a representative from Martinsville on the board. First of all, you said they're from the school districts. We counted up 7 school districts. I think you should, first of all, get somebody from each district on the board. Number
So
two.
that's all regulated by law, but yes. Go ahead.
Number two, I've got a guy here that's on the appraisal district board. His taxes went down $1,800 this year. And my daughter's jumped up $88,000, and she's a single mom with 2 daughters. Now, I can see his house from my house. And my house was built in 1960. His house was built in the 90s, but his taxes went down $1,800 this year. And my daughter's went up $88,000. Well, okay,
I'll have to
time
look
out.
at the
Okay,
individual.
right, but on the other side, I can see his house from where I'm at, and I'm home exempt from last year, but again, I fought it, I got it lowered, okay? But I'm gonna come back and protest, I want mine drop $1,800 more, and his house was built in the 80s and mine was built in the 60s. And I'm gonna protest, I want it down to $1,800 more, like him.
I'll protest.
That's the other thing. You say, we'll protest. It does basically absolutely almost nothing. I did it last year. Y'all knocked off, I don't know, $5,000. Big deal in the overall scheme of it. That doesn't help us at all. Doesn't help us at all.
And then it's back up
And then
again
it's
this
right
year.
back up again. And then
Yes,
we're right
I
back
have
in
a
here.
house
We're
the
triple,
same way.
Triple and quadruple over that. And this is lunacy to me. Every bit of this is lunacy. You can't tell me anything definitive. You're throwing numbers out of thin air. You're going, there's a blanket on everything, but yet, come up here and protest it. That is not gonna solve the problem.
Do you have a mortgage?
I do.
If your mortgage increased by your escrow account for $13,000, which is $600 a month, Could you afford your mortgage?
Would not be a good place.
Oh, but you expect us to?
No.
Obviously you do.
That's exactly
So,
what's gonna happen.
That's exactly
what we have to be, we have to set the values at what the market is selling for, okay?
I bought my house
What
8
y'all
years
got
ago.
prospect?
I'm not interested in selling my house. I bought it to pay it off and live there
But
forever.
that
I
is
didn't
not how the state.
raise the market value, but my taxes, no.
That is not how the state looks at it. When the state comes in and grades us, they look at properties that have sold and they grade us off of that. Your homestead is your biggest savings. Okay?
So question, some of us are missing the homestead.
Why did you
It's
take
not
it away?
even reflected.
I've had several people contact and say the same thing. We lost our homestead and we don't know why.
The cap is not there. It's 0 and it's not reflecting any.
Okay, so there's a couple of different things with that. Okay. But if there is a deed change, your homestead could come off, okay, on your specific
So
property.
how do you check for the
You had a
deed
deed
change?
change.
Your appraisers go check for that?
No, it comes in through the county. through the
So
county
we
clerk.
bought our home,
Uh-huh.
obviously, they filed a deed, and then we filed our homestead. It was after the fact, it should still be there. Where'd it go? There wasn't a deed change after we filed our homestead. So
We'll have
it's,
to look at your account.
okay.
We'll have to
And I
look
know
at
I'm
your
not the only person that has that. I saw this online yesterday. Many people that they have not had deed changes and nothing's changed for them, and their homestead is gone.
We don't typically re-app for a homestead unless somebody turns 65, so from a general to a over 65. But when there is a deed change, that homestead does come off, we just need an updated application, and that's super simple, so we can actually fix that.
I have a question. I'm new to Van Zandt County. Who are the board of directors and how do they get there?
So these are our board of directors.
Uh-huh.
They're nominated by the taxing entities.
Which
is all of our school districts, the cities, the county, the ESDs.
I didn't see them on my vote.
Do they have the final say over all of this?
They don't have
and what
say
are their
in value,
occupations?
no.
I mean,
They knew
They can
this was
also be
coming,
appointed
they
by the
stopped
judge.
it?
No, the review board is appointed by the
and
judge.
the
Well, why do we
state
have to
actually
make a
tells them how many members there can be
Appeal
on the
before
board.
them, whenever they.
So what's the
You
point
don't.
of having a board?
You
Don't
don't.
seem like
So
there's
when
No,
you-
there's
When you file
143
a notice
pages
of
on the
protest,
state
it goes to the
statute.
appraisal review board, not the board of directors.
Say that
It's
again.
different people.
There's 143 pages
It's
to
not you, it's them
the
too,
state codes
No.
that allow for the appraisal board.
Because we're having a board of directors meeting, we actually have some business we've gotta get
Is y'all
taken care
support
of.
What's their
open to
responsibility
public
then,
anytime
Judge?
you do it?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
What is their responsibility?
Was it open to the public every time?
They hire and fire me, and then they also approve budgets.
Because you're not doing your job. That'd save a lot of tax money right there.
Because I know you mentioned when the state comes and grades y'all. What's the consequences of a bad grade for them? And what's the consequences of a bad grade for us? We don't count.
You do count. So the state comes in and the state grades the appraisal district as far as their level of appraisal. You have to be within 5% plus or minus of what is determined as the market value, okay?
Who determines their market value that you're based on?
No, their market value they determine.
Hey, guys, the state controls part of this. Let's find out what part the state plays in this and what they're basing their values on that she's got to abide by.
Well, she doesn't, she can go 5% above.
Well, but I'm not going to. But we're not going to.
I'm thinking you already have.
But the state's got a value that they're working off of that they're gonna mandate that she follow. So I need to know what the state's basing their value on.
We need to know that, I agree.
Yeah.
But
So the state comes in and they look at properties that have sold.
Hey, guys. They couldn't have come in this week. They don't know what my place looks like. They can't see it from the road.
So the state does, the state does come in and they do put feet on the ground. They take a look at homes that have sold and they make their adjustments. So they're gonna look at this in a mass adjustments. They're gonna
Last year was such
stratify.
an inflated, ridiculous market that was not even realistic for this area.
But
And
they
now
look
we're
at
going
those
by that,
sales.
It's not even a sustainable market.
Sure. But they do look at those sales prices. Then they come back to us. They're gonna put it in groupings. They're gonna put it based off of our market areas, so school district, in town, out of town. And then they're gonna make their assessments. If we are outside of that 5% window, then the schools lose funding.
When the
How do we
state
get to
comes-
those guys that make those decisions? How do we talk to them to find out if their values are right? Because to me, if they're coming in here and mandating to you that you're going to have to stay within 5% of that, they've got to have something they're basing those values on. Do they put that out as public knowledge?
Not that I'm aware of.
Who are they appointed by?
Yeah.
So the comptroller is the one that grades it.
Comptroller. His name keeps coming up.
We're getting a lot of repetition. We need to try to wind up. I know everybody has a say, but we're getting a lot of same question over and over.
That wasn't anywhere near the same question.
I got a question, last one, I'll walk out here. Whenever the state comes in here, and they tell you a number, in your personal opinion, if you think that number is way out of line, are you gonna say, I think y'all wrong, cause we just had 300, there's over 300 people out here in this place. Are you gonna say, I had a pretty good mob come up here, and they're unhappy?
Yeah.
I believe what you're gonna say.
Maybe you need to call them and tell them.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We do
guys,
fight
'cause it's obvious to me, and no disrespect to you four men back here, y'all don't give a shit. Cause the whole time I've been here, you've looked down at your paper or something. Y'all don't care. It doesn't affect y'all, I guess, like it does me or these people here, because you act like you do not care. Even if you're from this place, you don't care. Y'all in the pockets of somebody the way you
Their
act.
taxes were not raised.
He's the same way.
But that's what I'm saying. Think about the people that's here, that works every day, that don't get to come up here once a month or whenever y'all meet and make decisions for all of us. It's not right.
In front of everybody, how much their taxes were.
Like what you just heard, one gentleman said one of these guys
How
went down
much?
this year.
They went up.
How much?
I don't have any
Hers went
control.
down, his went.
How much did your taxes go up?
$1,000.
They don't want to hear that,
I
sir.
went from 140 to 240.
You're happy about that?
You don't have a problem with that?
I didn't say I didn't have a problem.
Why aren't you bitching then?
Well, that's not my job here.
Yeah, it is. You're a taxpayer.
It is, you are on board. It is your job, specifically
That
your
is your job. No
I
disrespect
think
at all,
that's why
that's
they
your
feel
job.
like it's an us against y'all mentality. It just seems, it may not be true, but it seems as if you know, it's not important to you.
Your
So
actions
if it
speak
is
louder
important,
than
then
words.
say
I
that.
mean-
Maybe it would make some of these people feel a little bit better about where they're currently standing, because everybody in this room seems pretty pissed off. Everybody's economic status is obviously very different. I have 3 teenage children at home, and so I don't have near as much money as some of y'all sitting on this board, I'm just saying. So it's a little bit harder.
It shouldn't matter whether you make $1 a month or you make $1 million a month. The fact is the fact. They are literally bending us over a table and giving us what they want to give us.
What does the
Yeah.
board do? If y'all
There's gonna
don't
be a
have
rate every
oversight for
year.
the dollars per dollar, you don't have really, I guess, any say about that, then what are you here for? What do you do? Why do you give your time
Nothing.
to this board if it doesn't really affect anything that they're doing?
You apparently got to benefit something out of it. You're going to do nothing for free.
I really wanna know that answer, please.
Don't
Be
get
quiet and let 'em
anything.
answer.
Don't get anything.
Is it just
Okay,
enjoyment?
but what do you do? What is your job? What is your assignment for being on this board?
Take care of the direction, the board of directors meeting.
That's it? But what are the meetings about? Are you deciding anything in here?
We got an agenda we got to finish up and get through. here.
Okay, but it doesn't directly affect anything that she's doing about our values of our taxes? What you're doing?
So in other words,
Not a
you're saying
thing.
she's kinda standing on her own.
She's on her own in this. Y'all don't have anything to do with that.
You facilitate, or she does.
And that's it.
Somebody gotta have that.
We're not appraisers.
Right.
And I've been very impressed by the information that you folks have given for the values you're talking about and locations and so on. Does anybody here have any property in any other county?
I do.
I do.
And my taxes have not, mine went down last year.
Your taxes went down in the
I also
county
went
you're
down
in?
last year.
Okay. So anybody else in another county?
Smith County. They went up.
They went up.
Kaufman County went up too, and I'm just saying that Van Zandt has been pretty good to us for a little while. And I know we have some makeup to get to market value,
Okay.
but I feel like doing it in 1 or 2 years, that's a little asinine.
Well, what you're saying is, brings about a good point. Other places are doing the same thing Van Zandt County is.
That doesn't make it right to do
All
that.
right.
No.
Hang on. The truth of the matter is, it's all around. All the state of Texas is doing the same thing. When she's talking about taking numbers that the state operates from, what else is she gonna do? Now,
We all need to stand up together and fight it.
the truth of the matter is, If someone says, I've lived in this house for 50 years, you know, the value of that house, you know, even in some respects is diminished, but yet in the market value, it still has a value and it continues to go up. Anyway, we could argue those things for a long time. Our job here is the way I see it. I've been here, I think, 3 years, 2.5 years, 3 years, is to manage the appraisal district, to see that we have a chief appraiser, and then there's appraisers, and then there's people that work in the office, the management of the appraisal district. We don't do anything about appraising. That's all depending on somebody else. Now, I'm not trying to say we're getting out of anything, because what you've done for me is to make me look at this blanket thing, and I understand what she's saying when we're using the blanket, for us to take a better look at that and see what we can do for that. Now, you know, whatever I may say here may not make you feel much better when you leave, but the truth of the matter is we're taxpayers too. Truth of the matter is nobody owns anything.
Right, that's
We
right.
rent everything from the government. That's what we do. We rent it
Until
from
we
the
get rid of
government.
this property tax crap.
So the truth of the matter is, I would like for us, you know, to take a really close look, and I know she is, and our appraisers, the folks like that. We got to see what the numbers are. I'm curious myself to see what those numbers are from the state of Texas. It says you got to be within 5% of these numbers right here. So, you know, we may be locked in to where we can't do anything.
Well,
And that being the case, it's going to be very difficult for us to go against what the state would approve.
We're asking you to think about your children and your grandchildren
I
and future
understand.
generations coming up the
I
road
think that's-
and to make a difference. And if it doesn't happen here, obviously we can make a protest difference here, but we need to think about the elected officials that we're putting at the state level.
Absolutely.
And you need to think about that too. We're
Absolutely.
asking you guys to stand up and to, you know,
To
it may
help
not
us.
affect your property directly, but rally other people that we need a change.
Yes.
We agree with
Everybody's
that.
gonna end up living
We
in
agree with
slums
you.
at this rate.
How many poverty people or how many homeless live in California? Because this already happened there.
Yes. I think what you just said is kind of what we were all wanting to hear. That somebody in this room, aside from everybody that took time out of their day to show up, gives a crap, and that you're interested in
Absolutely.
looking over this system and figuring out the flaws in it and help us. We'll help you. Help us.
Why don't y'all
That's
have a
what we're
town
asking.
hall and invite her people that dictate her rules to come down and listen to the local level of people? Y'all,
Yeah,
y'all
the-
can ask for
the
that, you
state
can ask
people.
for that, you can ask for your state people to come down.
I don't know I'd get much.
But try.
I don't know that I'd get that, but I would try.
Get us
I
their
would try.
phone number.
It would be
Get us
good
their
to
phone
have
numbers and
somebody
let
from
us
the state
contact
here
them.
that has all the know
Yes.
about this.
Yes.
To say this is the way it is, and then you'd find out that this local appraisal district here is following the rules it has to follow.
Oh, we
Well, maybe we could-
know that, but that was, I think, that's the general consensus, is that we want to know that you guys care, and that you're standing with us, and that you're not just, well, here's the numbers, and you know, y'all wrote, like, yes, let's work together and
Tell us
get this
how-
figured out. We'll help
When-
you, y'all help us.
When they have the guidelines, and you have to adhere to those guidelines within 5%, those guidelines are so standardish that they're lousy, because what you have in Argyle, Texas, or Flower Mound, or some area, or South Lake, or whatever the hell it is, are different per square footage than out here. Okay, so I don't like the fact that they're asking you to follow those guidelines when it doesn't relate to here, and then our market is being driven up because of people that are coming in here that think this is a hell of a deal to pay this, when none of us can afford to pay that, and we never did when we came here.
Right.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is that guideline should be taken away, and it should be represented by people who live here that know that house will never sell for 400,000, but that's what we have it appraised at, and it's only at 200,000. You
So
know?
how do you affect change of that?
Yeah,
That is
that's-
calling your senators and your legislators and telling them what exactly what
did.
we just said. That's perfect.
5,300 for Lance. Talk to Lance. I just said, Lance, we better hear your voice on this. We're out here all mad.
Actually, Lance doesn't have any say. He's national, he's US, it's our state. It's Bob Hall and Brian Swain.
Well, then this is wrong, because this says Texas U.S. Representative Lance didn't, but he is national.
He goes to Washington.
So
The
who-
ones that affect directly here are Bob Hall
Oh, here it is, down
Brian's
here.
Lake.
Okay. There it is.
We need to try to,
These two.
wind up our meeting as best we can.
Yeah, these
Certainly
two.
appreciate everybody's input. We're going, the board will work to see what we can do to improve the system, but so much of it's regulated by the state and the laws. So we appreciate everybody being here today and questions and comments and so forth. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all for having us.
So did you say earlier that the appraisers that you had, they're not certified yet? It takes 5 years?
So for the full certification takes roughly 5 years.
And they're not fully certified yet?
No, it's just a process to get through it.
Then how can you sit there and make somebody tell them, I certified this when they're not certified? That's falsifying documents right there.
No, they're licensed. They are licensed.
But they're not certified.
They are licensed. It takes the full 5 years to get through the process of it.
You can be licensed to be a doctor, but if you ain't, got your certifications, all that, of course, the doctor, they say that they're practicing medicine, so they're practicing just like a lawyer practices law.
Talk to State of Texas about that.
Yeah.
They license them, and then they're in the process of getting certified.
Explain that 5% again, so that when we contact our legislators, we know exactly what we need to.
So we are graded to be within 5% of market values. So that's what the properties are selling for. So when you look at your notice, your total market value, we have to be within 5% of what other properties are selling for that are similar to in our county that are within similar homes.
So this isn't a blanket state of Texas market value?
No.
'Cause that's what I understand.
No. But I will say, like commercial sales, we don't have a lot of commercial sales in Van Zandt County. There's more now than there were in the past, but there's not a ton of commercial sales. So they look outside of our county and get information. We can't go outside of our county to get information.
So, when the market was crazy a couple of years ago, a house in our neighborhood sold for $775,000. We bought our house 4 years ago for $350,000. So now is our house based on that $775,000?
So we look, not totally though. We do look at sales in general. So we're gonna pull more than just one sale because we don't want, same thing with my land. My land I paid over market for. I'm not throwing that against everybody else's land values. I chose to pay over market because I wanted contiguous land right up beside my house.
And
That was my choice.
That's why people are here, because it's not our choice that we get more money for something.
Sure.
Then you blanket us all, that's the concern.
So I kick out those that are
We get
outliers.
penalized. Yeah, but we get penalized for people who are willing to give way above what something's right. It's
We
not
do-
right for everybody that's in your county and the people who pay their taxes and work and provide for this.
Sure. So we do throw out outliers. We try to look at the trends. What is the trend? And that's what we try to narrow down to.
But you're not adjusting for that.
For 2024, it should. At 2023, we didn't see a decrease.
I have
Not
a neighbor
the
that has
information that we
1 acre less than me
Mhm.
and has road frontage on 2 sides. So they have double the road frontage, and their land value is a third of what mine is. Can you explain that?
I'll have to look at it. I'll have to look
That's
at
the
it.
part that I'm here for, because I don't understand.
$26,500 an acre, and there's nothing in this county that has sold for that.
There's 1 acre around the corner from me, it sold for 60. Some idiot come in town. No.
Selling 25,000 every day at my house.
Yeah. It's unreal.
Only homestead.
Well, most of us that are in here are homesteaded.
So homesteaded properties can file online. You can also email us your protest. Admin@bccat.org.
3 years ago, you could buy.
Can I ask you one more question while everybody's here, just because you said everything was a mass blanket, right? Roughly, and within 5%, plus or minus. So, same street, both rental properties. Built within a 2-year time frame of each other per the taxes, still the same classification of home, square footage is the same, but yet the percentage of increase is different. How come?
It's gonna depend on their square footage.
No,
gonna
it's the
depend-
same.
We protested last year.
Same house.
Because it's the same house. So, could have been what it was last year versus this year. That's gonna go into your calculation.
So we raised 20,000, they raised 10, same house.
Maybe the
Same
effective
street.
age.
Why would
Same, it's
We'll
same,
have to look at
y'all
it.
classified it the same.
That's what I'm trying to understand, the blanket.
So if there is a, like if a property's been remodeled, we may adjust the effective
Both rentals?
age on it.
Neither one have.
Neither one of them have been.
We'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at it. Just mention that in your protest. Any information you have to help, get it to us and we'll take a look.
But I think that's what everybody's point is we're having to prove our innocence instead of y'all proving that we went up. We have to prove to get it back down, because every year what y'all say ends up being the gospel no matter what, because you take it, we appeal, we protest, and you reduce it. But the next year it goes back up to what you said, and plus some. So then we have to fight again, and then but you potentially were wrong one year, but yet you never have to concede that.
And I think we need to remember that landlords are not awful and we're not greedy, and tenants are not awful either. That they have to. We're providing a very, very needed item, a home to live in, and if it goes up too much, they can't afford it.
Again, we look at market value.
But you don't.
But you don't.
You don't.
I will tell you, we do our best.
We just proved the
We do our
market
best.
value.
Okay, we need to kind of wind up. We had lots of interesting questions, comments. We appreciate it very much. File your protest. You can even talk to them personally. You don't necessarily have to protest, is that right?
Well, they do have to file a protest. That gives us the time and it locks it in the system so that we can get it
You
adjusted.
know, the board does care about your concerns. We definitely do.
What's it gonna do to this office if everybody that showed up today files a protest?
It'll be just fine. It'll be just fine. It'll be just fine.
Appreciate it.
Get your appeal until after your taxes.
Appreciate y'all being here.
So there is a caveat in the law that if you take it in front of the ARB, that if they make a determination, it can be set in for 2 years, as long as the CAD would have to have a predominance of evidence to change it, okay? So, in a typical market where it's relatively flat, that benefits the property owner. But in the market that we've had that's been so increasing, it has not benefited the property owner. It's actually hindered them, because when it comes off that 2-year lock, then you have this huge jump. And then you can't afford that, right?
2 years ago, I did it, and they said it was locked in for 2 years. I did it last year, and they said it was locked in for 2 years.
Should have been locked in for 1 last year, just because we were in such huge.
But I was supposed to have been for 2 years the year before, and I had to redo it last year. Now they're wanting me to redo it this year. I've never been locked in, like it says, so I'm just asking.
Sure. We can take a look at your account.
I protested last year before the board and they said it.
If it's an informal, yeah, when we didn't lock it in for 2 years last year, because the market has been increasing.